How does it make us feel that Jesus is inviting us to abide or remain, as my Bible says, in that love, to expect it? He's opened up the door. He's invited you in with unconditional love. Some of us know what it's like to have unconditional love, and some of us don't. Some of us, the only love that we have ever known came with conditions. Jesus doesn't come with conditions. Jesus says, come as you are, just the way you are, and I will love you regardless. Verse 11, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. How would we describe Jesus' joy? What is his joy? Anybody have any idea? What makes him happy?
We do like we're supposed to. We make him happy.
His joy was in doing his Father's work.
Right? Pleasing his Father.
And he's not happy, I mean, if we don't please
Right.
him.
Okay, start with what Carl said first, and then we'll move to what Carl said. Your kid does something good, and you praise them. Does that not make them happy? So if Jesus does something right, and his Father praises him, then that makes him happy. That gives him joy. So in turn, we do something right, that makes Jesus happy. So what is it that we can do right?
Give him praise.
Hmm?
Give him praise.
You can praise, do his work. Like we learned in the experience in God, look to see where he is at work and then go to work with him. Not go out and create our own work and say, Lord, bless this work because this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. And I want to make you happy in the process. Stop and look to see where he is at work. Already at work, because he's working somewhere and somehow. Go to work for him.
Keep in mind that the plan for his praise and his glory is already in place. Now, and I'm with Jamie 100% there, is in his praise, but you gotta make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to in that plan rather than developing one of your own. That's
Right.
pretty much what you just said.
How do we know his joy is in us?
Feel it.
Feel it how?
The Spirit
How does it
will
make
guide-
you feel?
The Spirit will guide you if you'll let Him.
That's the Spirit living in us. How do we know that his joy is in us?
You tell them to move this, I mean, I know it sounds a little off the wall, but to move the spirits in, I mean, whether it's a joyful feeling or a feeling of conviction.
If you're always cranky, hateful, grouchy, spiteful, snippy, how much joy, Fred's fixing to get smacked, how much joy do you have?
A lot of times, if those things you mentioned off there are a result of somebody being under conviction of some kind, whether it be minor or major or something big, something little, just simply being out of the will of God. I know when I was out of the church and out of the will of God, I was extremely short-tempered and I had an attitude, I really did. Any little thing let me blow up, and And it was all because I was inside, I was in misery from being out of God's will, and that's all it boiled down to.
So you were missing his joy.
Exactly. And it's my fault.
And isn't it most often when we're missing, or I guess always the case, when we're missing his joy, it's our fault. We have done something to break that fellowship with him.
Even if it's letting some whiny crybaby baby Christian get you off course, it's still
Right.
your fault for letting it happen.
Absolutely. Because we, as maturer Christians, not saying mature because we all have room to grow, but if you've been in church, if you've been in your faith, if you've been in the Word for any time at all, you should be maturing. You should be more mature than the one that comes in off the street that hasn't been in church, hasn't been saved, hasn't been in fellowship, hasn't been in relationship with God. You should be more mature than they are. Notice I said should be, because we not always are.
We had a preacher one time at revival said a lot, and he stressed the word lot, of Christians, even though they've been a Christian for 40 years, were still being milk-fed by God when they should be eating meat and going out into the world
Right.
and living as a mature person, not sitting back and letting God catch you to try to move you along. And
Right.
Well, now, a lot of that, as much as I agree with that, a lot of that depends on the team that's helping feed them too.
Right.
Sometimes they just don't get fed.
That's what happened to me when I was a kid. I was in a preaching church. They taught, preacher would get up, preach hellfire and brimstone. You know, one of those that adds a at the end of every word. You know, and it
Usually
just
that's the
went
only
on
message they
and
know.
on and on. It scared me into getting saved. I did. 13 years old. I got
you didn't
saved.
move on.
I didn't grow up. I didn't build a relationship with God. I didn't learn to pray. I didn't learn to study. I didn't learn to grow. It took me 17 years before I finally found a place and got myself involved in a church to where I started to learn, live, grow, study, pray.
That's it, you weren't being taught.
Exactly. I wasn't being fed.
You were being preached at, and it was just scaring the devil out of you.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. I got the devil scared out of me. Of course, it didn't take long for him to come back
No, it
because I didn't start laying, when you start building your relationship with God, you start laying brick. And everything you do that is in the will of the Lord will put a brick in a wall that separates you and the devil. That doesn't mean he can't find a way over. That doesn't mean he can't find a way or dig a hole under, because he will. Somehow, and sometimes he sends in this innocent person that needs your help, that just is sweet and kind, and the devil says, go get him. He will find a way through your wall. But the point is, every time you pray, every time you study, every time you witness, every time you volunteer, every time you go to the highways and the hedges, and every time you build your relationship with God, you are putting bricks in a wall that's between you and the devil. Now don't misunderstand that for saying he can't come through. Because he'll find a way. The higher the wall, the wider the wall, the more work he has to get to you. And it's just like some parts of my family tell me I can't and watch me see what I can do. You tell the devil he can't, you tell the devil he's not going to, and he'll try that much harder. So build your relationship. Know Jesus. Love him. Abide in him. Live in him. and let him live in you, and that's that much more ammunition